The stars hung cold and distant in the black void of space as Commander Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair aboard the UE Thunderstrike. The massive human battleship moved through the darkness like a predator hunting its prey. Morrison was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his hands from years of fighting in the galaxy's worst places. His eyes never left the main screen as his crew worked around him. "Sir, we're getting something strange on the long-range sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. She was young but smart, one of the best communication officers in the human fleet. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to make sense of what she was hearing. Morrison turned to look at her. "What kind of strange?" "It's a distress signal, but not like any I've heard before. It's coming from the Velari system, about 3 days away at maximum speed. The signal is weak, but it's being broadcast on every frequency they can use." The bridge fell quiet. Everyone knew about the Velari. They were peaceful crystal beings who lived on a garden world called Nexus Prime. They had never hurt anyone and spent their time making beautiful art and music. Most species in the galaxy liked the Velari because they were kind and gentle. "Put it on the main speakers," Morrison ordered. The bridge filled with a sound like wind chimes mixed with crying. It was beautiful, but also full of fear and pain. Amy worked her controls, and slowly the alien sounds began to change into words that humans could understand. "Please, anyone who can hear this message, we need help. Our world is under attack. The Korthic Empire has come to our system with many ships. They are destroying our cities and taking our people. We have no weapons to fight them. We have no soldiers to defend ourselves. We are a peaceful people who have never known war. Please, if there is anyone out there who can help us, we are begging you. Our children are dying. Our elders are being taken away. We do not know how much longer we can keep sending this message. Please help us." The message repeated over and over. Morrison felt his jaw tighten as he listened. The Korthic Empire was bad news. They were giant bug-like aliens who traveled from world to world, taking slaves and stealing everything they could carry. They were strong, mean, and had no mercy for anyone who got in their way. "How long has this been broadcasting?" Morrison asked. "About 6 hours, sir. But the signal is getting weaker. I think their communication stations are being destroyed." Morrison stood up from his chair and walked to the front of the bridge. He looked out at the stars and thought about what he had just heard. The Velari were good people who had never hurt anyone. The Korthic were bullies who picked on those who could not fight back. Morrison had seen what the Korthic did to their prisoners. It was not something he wanted to happen to the gentle crystal beings. "Amy, get me a line to Captain Lisa Rodriguez on the Hughes Devastator. Then contact Admiral Kevin Walsh back on Earth." "Yes, sir, but it will take a few minutes to reach the Admiral." "We're pretty far out here." Morrison nodded, while Amy worked on the communications. He thought about the situation. The Velari system was not in human space. Technically, humans had no reason to get involved in this fight. But Morrison had not joined the human fleet to hide behind rules and paperwork when innocent people needed help. The main screen flickered, and Captain Rodriguez appeared. She was a small woman with dark hair and fierce eyes. Morrison had fought beside her many times and trusted her completely. "Jake, I just heard the Velari distress call. Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" "Probably. How fast can you get your ships ready for a fight?" Rodriguez smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a human who was about to do something dangerous and knew it. "My crew is always ready for a fight. The question is whether Command will let us go help some aliens who are not even our allies. We'll see about that. Stand by." Morrison cut the connection and waited for the call to Earth to go through. While he waited, he looked around his bridge at his crew. They were all humans which meant they were all crazy by galactic standards. Earth was what other species called a death world. It was a planet where everything tried to kill you. The gravity was too strong. The weather was too violent. The animals were too dangerous. Most aliens could not even visit Earth without special equipment to keep them alive. But humans had grown up on Earth. They were used to fighting for survival every day. What other species saw as impossible, humans saw as just another problem to solve. Morrison's crew had fought pirates, rebels, and worse things in the dark spaces between stars. They were not afraid of some big bugs. "Sir, I have Admiral Walsh on the line," Amy said. The screen changed to show Admiral Kevin Walsh sitting in his office on Earth. Walsh was an older man with white hair and tired eyes. He had been fighting humanity's battles for 30 years, and it showed on his face. "Morrison, I heard about the Velari situation. What's your status?" "Ready to help them, sir. Captain Rodriguez is standing by with her battle group. We can be in the Velari system in 3 days if we push our engines hard." Walsh was quiet for a moment. Morrison could see him thinking about all the reasons this was a bad idea. The Korthic were dangerous. The Velari were not human allies. Other species would say humans were being aggressive again. "Admiral, with respect, we both know what the Korthic do to their prisoners. The Velari are good people who have never hurt anyone. If we don't help them, no one will." Walsh sighed. "You're right, of course. The Galactic Council will spend 6 months talking about sending a strongly worded letter. By then the Velari will all be dead or slaves." He paused and looked directly at Morrison through the screen. "You have permission to respond to the distress call. Take whatever ships you need. Show the Korthic why they should be afraid of Deathworlders." Morrison smiled. "Thank you, sir. We won't let you down. I know you won't. Bring our people home. Safe, Jake." The transmission ended, and Morrison turned to his crew. They were all watching him with eager faces. They had heard the distress call too, and Morrison could see they wanted to help just as much as he did. "Amy, signal all human ships in this sector. Tell them we're going to help the Velari, and anyone who wants to join us should form up on our position." "Yes, sir. What should I tell them about the enemy?" Morrison looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, innocent people were dying while bullies took everything they had. It was not right, and Morrison was not going to let it continue. "Tell them we're going to remind the Korthic why humans are called Deathworlders." Within 2 hours of Morrison's call, human ships began appearing from all directions. They came out of hyperspace like angry wasps coming out of a disturbed nest. The U-East Devastator arrived first, followed by the massive dreadnought U-East Reaper. Captain Tony Bennett commanded the Reaper, and his ship was the biggest and most dangerous vessel in the human fleet. It was built like a flying fortress and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Morrison watched from his bridge as more ships kept arriving. There was the U.E.S. Striker with Captain Sam Green, the U.'s Phoenix under Commander Bill Jackson, and dozens of smaller ships. Frigates, destroyers, and support vessels all carried the blue and white colors of the human fleet. But more importantly, they all carried human crews. "Sir, we have 23 ships now, and more are still coming," reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. She looked excited as she watched the fleet grow larger. "Captain Rodriguez is asking for a command meeting in 1 hour." Morrison nodded. He was pleased with how quickly the human fleet had responded, but he was not surprised. This was what humans did. When someone needed help, they came running. It did not matter if the job was dangerous or if they might not come home. Someone was in trouble, and that was enough. "Amy, get me Lieutenant Colonel Danny Parker on the communication system. He should be on the U.E.S. Warrior." The screen flickered and showed a man in military uniform sitting in what looked like a planning room. Parker was built like a brick wall and had the kind of face that said he had seen too many battles. His uniform was covered with patches from different combat zones across the galaxy. Colonel Parker, we're going to need ground troops for this mission. How many Marines can you get ready in the next few hours? Parker smiled, and Morrison could see why his enemies were afraid of him. Sir, I've got 500 Marines ready to go right now. Give me 6 more hours and I could have 1,000. My people have been listening to that distress call, and they're not happy about what they're hearing. What kind of equipment do you have? Everything we need to fight bugs, sir. Heavy armor, plasma weapons, and some new toys that the science boys just finished testing. My Marines have been training for fighting in hostile environments. A few giant insects won't be a problem. Morrison knew Parker was right. Human Marines were trained in the worst places on Earth and on colonies that were even more dangerous. They practiced fighting in swamps full of poisonous gas, on planets with gravity so strong it could crush bones, and in the frozen wastelands where the cold could kill in minutes. The Korthik might be tough, but they had never faced anything like human Marines. Get your people ready, Colonel. We leave in 8 hours. Parker saluted. Yes, sir. The bugs won't know what hit them. Morrison cut the connection and turned to his crew. Amy, signal the fleet. All ship commanders report to the Thunderstrike for briefing in 30 minutes. Tell them to bring their best tactical officers. While his crew prepared for the meeting, Morrison walked to his ready room behind the bridge. It was a small space with a desk, some chairs, and walls covered with star charts and pictures of his family back on Earth. He sat down and opened the files on the Korthik Empire. The Korthik were not nice aliens. They stood 8 feet tall and looked like giant mantises with armor plating instead of skin. They had 4 arms that ended in razor-sharp claws, and their heads had compound eyes that could see in all directions at once. They were strong, fast, and had no feelings about killing anyone who got in their way. But Morrison had fought aliens before. The galaxy was full of species that were bigger, stronger, and meaner than humans. What made humans dangerous was not their size or strength. It was their minds. Humans could think of solutions that other species would never consider. They could fight in places where other species would die. And most importantly, they never gave up. Morrison's door chimed, and Amy came in carrying a datapad. Sir, the final ship count is 31 vessels. We have 6 heavy cruisers, 12 destroyers, 8 frigates, and 5 support ships. Total crew is about 15,000 people. Any word from other species? Are we getting any help from the Galactic Council? Amy shook her head. No, sir. The Council is still debating whether to send a diplomatic mission to ask the Korthik to please stop attacking the Valari. They say any military action would be too aggressive. Morrison was not surprised. The Galactic Council was made up of species who had never had to fight for their survival. They lived on safe worlds where the biggest danger was maybe getting caught in the rain. They did not understand that sometimes the only way to stop a bully was to punch him in the face. What about other military forces? Any species willing to help? The Zentari Empire says they would be happy to help, but their fleet is busy with training exercises. The Makari Federation is concerned about the legal implications of attacking the Korthik without a formal declaration. The Heptari Republic wants to form a committee to study the situation. Morrison stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the human fleet getting ready for battle. Ships were taking on supplies, weapons were being checked, and crews were preparing for what might be their last fight. But none of them were complaining. None of them were trying to find excuses not to go. Sir, there is one more thing, Amy said quietly. I intercepted some communications from other species. They're calling us crazy for going to fight the Korthik. Some of them are saying we're too aggressive and that we're going to start a war. Morrison turned around and looked at her. Amy, what do you think? Are we being too aggressive? She was quiet for a moment, then shook her head. No, sir. Someone has to help the Valari. If we don't do it, no one will. The Korthik will kill them all, and then move on to the next world. Eventually, they might even come for us. That's right. And there's something else. Earth taught us that the strong should protect the weak. We didn't become the toughest species in the galaxy, so we could pick on people who can't fight back. We became tough so we could stop the bullies. Amy smiled. Yes, sir. I'll go prepare for the briefing. After she left, Morrison looked out at his fleet again. 31 ships full of humans who were ready to risk their lives for people they had never met. Other species called humans crazy, but Morrison thought they were the sanest people in the galaxy. When someone was in trouble, you helped them. It was that simple. Morrison's communication system beeped. Sir, the ship commanders are here for the briefing. On my way. Morrison straightened his uniform and headed for the door. It was time to plan a rescue mission. The Korthik Empire was about to learn why you should never mess with Deathworlders who are protecting their friends. The human fleet came out of hyperspace at the edge of the Valari system, like thunder rolling across the sky. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike and watched the tactical display as his sensors began to paint a picture of what they were facing. What he saw made his blood run cold. Nexus Prime, the beautiful garden world of the Valari, was covered in smoke and fire. The planet's orbital defense stations were nothing but floating wreckage. Huge Korthik ships, dark and ugly like flying. Insects swarmed around the planet. Smaller landing craft moved back and forth between the ships and the surface, carrying away everything they could steal. Sir, I'm counting 47 Korthik vessels, reported Lieutenant Steve Davis from the tactical station. He was a young officer with steady hands and sharp eyes. Most of them are transport ships, but I see at least 12 heavy cruisers and what looks like a battleship. Morrison nodded grimly. The Korthik had brought a big force to attack one peaceful world. It showed how much they enjoyed picking on people who could not fight back. Amy, are you getting any signals from the planet? Lieutenant Amy Foster worked frantically at her station, trying to cut through the interference from all the Korthik ships. I'm getting something, sir. It's very weak, but I think it's coming from underground. The Valari might be hiding in caves or bunkers. Can you contact them? I'm trying, sir. The Korthik are jamming most frequencies. But, wait, I think I have something. The bridge speakers crackled with static, then filled with that beautiful wind chime sound of Valari voices. But now the music was full of fear and pain. Unknown ships, please identify yourselves. We are afraid you might be more Korthik forces. Our world is dying. Our people are being taken. If you are here to help us, please answer. We do not have much time left. Morrison stepped forward. This is Commander Jake Morrison of the Human Fleet. We received your distress call and came to help. Can you tell us your situation? There was a long pause, then the voice came back stronger than before. The speaker sounded amazed. Humans? You actually came? We sent our message to the entire galaxy, but no one answered. We thought we were alone. Oh, blessed light, someone actually came to help us. Who am I speaking to? I am Elder Zefka, leader of the Valari Council. I am speaking to you from deep beneath our capital city. Most of our people are hiding in the crystal caves, but the Korthik are finding us. They use machines that can dig through rock. We estimate that half our population has already been taken. Morrison felt anger burning in his chest. The Valari were peaceful beings who had never hurt anyone. They spent their lives creating beautiful art and music. To attack them was like burning down a library or destroying a hospital. Elder Zefka, we are here to help you, but I need to understand your people better. We've never worked with Velari before. What do you need from us? We need the Korthik to stop taking our people. We need them to leave our world. But Commander, you must understand, we are not warriors. We do not know how to fight. We have never even seen violence until today. Our bodies are made of living crystal and energy. We cannot survive in the kinds of environments where battles happen. Morrison turned to Dr. Helen Carter, his science officer. She was a small woman with gray hair who had studied alien species for 20 years. Doctor, what do you know about Velari biology? Dr. Carter pulled up information on her screen. Velari are silicon-based life forms, sir. Their bodies are made of crystalline structures that can conduct energy. They're very fragile compared to humans. What would be a minor injury to us could kill them. They also can't survive in high radiation, extreme temperatures, or toxic atmospheres. So they really can't fight. No, sir. Their entire species evolved on a garden world with perfect conditions. They've never had predators or natural disasters. They don't even understand the concept of violence. Morrison walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the burning planet. The Velari were like children who had never seen evil before. The Korthik were taking advantage of their innocence. Elder Zefka, my science officer tells me your people can't survive in combat conditions. Is that correct? Yes, Commander. Even the air around your ships would be poison to us. The energy from your weapons would burn us like fire. We can only survive in very controlled environments. Then you'll have to stay hidden while we deal with the Korthik. Can your people remain in the caves? For a while, yes. The deepest caves have pure air and stable temperatures. But Commander, the Korthik have thousands of warriors on our world. How can you fight so many with just your small fleet? Morrison smiled, but the Velari could not see it. Elder, how much do you know about humans? Very little. We know you come from a world called Earth. We know other species are afraid of you, but we do not understand why. We come from what's called a death world, Elder. Everything on our planet tries to kill us. The gravity is crushing, the weather is violent, and the animals are all predators. We've been fighting for survival since the day we were born. There was silence on the communication channel for a moment. Commander Morrison, are you saying that your people are dangerous? When we need to be, yes. But we only fight those who deserve it. The Korthik attack peaceful people and take slaves. They deserve everything we're going to give them. Morrison turned to Steve Davis. Commander Davis, take a squadron of fighters and do a reconnaissance run. I want to know exactly where the Korthik have set up their bases. Stay high and fast. Don't engage yet. Yes, sir. Davis saluted and left the bridge. Morrison opened a channel to the rest of the fleet. All ships, this is Morrison. We have confirmed that the Velari are still alive, but they're hiding in underground caves. The Korthik have landed a large ground force and are hunting civilians. Rules of engagement are simple. Any Korthak vessel or ground unit is a legitimate target. Any human who harms a Velari will answer to me personally. This is a rescue mission, people. Let's show these bugs what happens when they pick on our friends. The communication channel filled with acknowledgments from 31 ship commanders. Morrison could hear the anger in their voices. Humans did not like bullies, and the Korthik had just made themselves the biggest bullies in the galaxy. Elder Zefka, are you still there? Yes, Commander. I am still trying to understand. You came all this way to help people you have never met? That's what humans do, Elder. When someone calls for help, we answer. Now keep your people safe in those caves. We're going to clean up your planet. Morrison cut the communication and turned to his crew. Outside the viewports, The Korthak fleet continued their work of destruction, unaware that they were about to face the children of Earth. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they were not happy. The battle for Nexus Prime began at exactly 1400 hours ship time. Commander Jake Morrison gave the order that would change everything for the Korthak Empire. All ships attack formation. Target the Korthak vessels closest to the planet. Remember, we need to protect the Velari on the surface. The human fleet moved forward like a pack of wolves closing in for the kill. The UE's Devastator, commanded by Captain Lisa Rodriguez, led the charge. Her ship was fast and deadly, built for exactly this kind of fight. Behind her came the massive UES Reaper with Captain Tony Bennett, its huge guns already powering up for battle. The Korthak were caught completely off guard. They had been busy loading stolen goods and captured Velari onto their transport ships. They never expected anyone to actually come and fight them. Most species in the galaxy were too afraid of the Korthak to interfere with their raids. "Sir, the Korthak are trying to form a battle line," reported Lieutenant Steve Davis from his tactical station. "But they're moving too slowly." "Half there. Ships are still in orbit around the planet." Morrison smiled grimly. "Good. Amy, send a message to all Korthak ships. Tell them to release their prisoners and leave this system immediately, or we will destroy them." Amy Foster worked her controls and sent the message. The response came back in less than a minute. The Korthak commander's voice was like metal scraping against stone. "Human ships, you have no business in this system. The Velari are our lawful prey. Leave now, or we will add your ships to our collection." Morrison's smile got wider and much less friendly. "Amy, send them one more message. Tell them we gave them a chance." The first shots of the battle came from Captain Rodriguez on the Devastator. Her ship dove toward the planet like a meteor, using the gravity well to increase its speed. The Korthak ships tried to intercept her, but she was moving too fast and too unpredictably. Her weapons lashed out and destroyed 2 Korthak cruisers before they could even fire back. This is Rodriguez to all ships. The atmosphere is perfect for atmospheric combat. These bugs don't know how to fight in a gravity well. Morrison watched as more human ships followed Rodriguez's lead. They dove into the planet's atmosphere, using the air resistance and gravity as weapons. The Korthak ships tried to follow, but their vessels were not built for atmospheric flight. They were clumsy and slow in the thick air. Captain Bennett brought the Reaper around in a wide arc, staying in space where his heavy guns could do the most damage. His massive ship began pounding the Korthak battle line with weapons that could crack a moon in half. The Korthak return fire bounced off the Reapers. Armor like rain hitting a mountain. "Morrison, this is Bennett. I'm seeing something interesting up here. The Korthak don't seem to know how to handle multiple attack vectors. They're designed to fight enemies that attack in straight lines." Morrison nodded. "Most species in the galaxy fought battles the way they were taught in military academies. They formed neat lines and traded shots until one side gave up. But humans had learned to fight on Earth, where the rules were simple: survive or die. There were no neat lines in a tornado or when a pack of wolves was hunting you. All ships spread out. Make them fight on a dozen fronts at once. The human fleet scattered like a flock of birds, each ship attacking from a different angle. The Korthak tried to respond, but their commanders were confused. They had never faced an enemy that refused to fight in an organized way. Commander Sam Green led a squadron of small frigates on a daring run through the Korthak formation. His ships were tiny compared to the enemy cruisers, but they were fast and hard to hit. They struck at the Korthak supply ships and transports, the vessels carrying stolen goods, and captured Velari. This is Green to Morrison. I'm seeing prison. Ships trying to escape to hyperspace. They've got Velari civilians on board. Stop them Morrison ordered. Use minimum force necessary to disable their engines, but do not let them escape with those people. Green's frigates raced after the fleeing transports. The Korthik ships were heavily loaded and could not reach full speed. Green's pilots, all veterans of fighting pirates in the outer colonies, knew exactly how to disable a ship without destroying it. Their precise shots took out the transport engines, leaving the ships floating helplessly in space, down on the planet's surface. Lieutenant Colonel Danny Parker was having his own problems. His Marines had landed in the middle of a toxic swamp that covered most of the southern continent. The air was full of poisonous gas, and the water was so acidic it could eat through metal. For most species, it would have been instant death. For humans, it was just another day at the office. This is Parker to Morrison. We've landed in what looks like a chemical nightmare. The Korthik have set up 3 major bases in this swamp. I guess they figured no one would be crazy enough to attack them here. Morrison could hear the smile in Parker's voice. Are you going to have any problems with the environment, Colonel? Sir, my Marines trained in the acid pools on Venus, and the poison swamps of Delta IV. This place is actually pretty nice. The only thing trying to kill us is the enemy. Parker's Marines moved through the swamp like ghosts. They wore sealed armor that protected them from the poisonous air, but even without it, humans could survive in environments that would kill most aliens in minutes. The Korthik had chosen their base locations, thinking they would be safe from attack. They were wrong. Sergeant Maria Santos led her squad through a forest of trees that leaked toxic sap. The Korthik guards never saw them coming. Santos had grown up in the Australian outback, where everything was poisonous and the sun could kill you. A few alien bugs in a swamp did not scare her. Contact front, Santos whispered into her radio. I count 20 Korthik guards around the first base. They're not expecting company. The attack was swift and brutal. The Korthik were tough fighters, but they had never faced enemies like human Marines. Santos and her squad moved like liquid death through the enemy base, their weapons cutting down the surprised aliens before they could organize a defense. Back in space, the battle was turning into a disaster for the Korthik. Their neat formations were broken and scattered. Human ships attacked from every direction, using tactics that made no sense to the alien commanders. The Korthik had superior numbers, but numbers meant nothing when you could not hit your targets. Captain Rodriguez brought the Devastator up through the planet's atmosphere and attacked a Korthik battleship from below. The enemy ship tried to turn its guns downward, but Rodriguez was already moving, using the planet's magnetic field to mask her ship's signature. This is too easy, Rodriguez said over the communication channel. These bugs have no imagination. They fight like machines. Morrison watched the tactical display as more Korthik ships were destroyed or disabled. The enemy was starting to panic. Some of their ships were trying to escape, while others clustered together in defensive groups that made them easy targets for the Reaper's heavy guns. Sir, I'm getting reports from the surface, Amy Foster announced. Colonel Parker's Marines have taken 2 of the 3 Korthik bases. They're reporting large numbers of Valari prisoners being freed. Morrison felt a moment of satisfaction. The rescue mission was working, but he knew the hardest part was still to come. The Korthik would not give up easily, and desperate enemies were the most dangerous kind. All ships maintain attack formation. Don't let any of them escape. We end this here and now. The battle raged for 6 hours before the Korthik commanders realized they were facing something they had never encountered before. These humans did not fight like any species they knew. They did not follow the rules of civilized warfare. They attacked from impossible angles, fought in deadly environments, and refused to give up no matter how bad the odds looked. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the U's Thunderstrike, watching as more human ships arrived through hyperspace. The UE's Hellfire appeared first, a massive assault carrier commanded by Captain Bob Taylor. Behind it came 3 more destroyers and a squadron of support vessels. "Sir, Captain Taylor is requesting permission to deploy his assault troops," reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. Morrison opened a channel to the Hellfire. Captain Taylor appeared on screen, a big man with a scarred face and arms like tree trunks. His ship carried the most dangerous soldiers in the human military, the heavy assault troops who specialized in fighting in the worst possible conditions. "Taylor, good to see you. What's your status?" "Ready to drop, sir." "My boys have been listening to the tactical reports, and they're eager to get down there. The Korthik have one more major base on the planet's main continent. It's built inside an active volcano." Morrison raised an eyebrow. "Inside a volcano?" "Yes, sir. The Korthik figured no one would be crazy enough to attack them there. The temperature is over 200 degrees, and the air is full of sulfur gas. Most species would die just from breathing it." Morrison smiled. The Korthik kept making the same mistake. They thought like normal aliens who needed safe, comfortable environments to survive. They did not understand that humans came from a world where volcanoes, acid rain, and poisonous air were just normal Tuesday weather. "Deploy your troops, Captain. Show them what heavy assault Marines can do." While Taylor's forces prepared for their attack, Commander Sam Green was having his own success in space. His stealth frigates had been hunting Korthik commanders for the past hour, using their advanced sensors to track enemy communication signals. When they found a command ship, they attacked without warning. This is Green to all ships. "I just took out another Korthik admiral. That makes 4 command vessels destroyed. The enemy fleet is starting to fall apart without proper leadership." Morrison could see it on his tactical display. The Korthik ships were no longer working together. Some were trying to escape, others were attacking wildly without coordination, and a few were just floating in space as if their crews had given up. "Amy, any word from Elder Zefka?" "Yes, sir. The Velari are reporting that most of their people have been freed from the Korthik prison camps. Dr. Carter is working with them to set up safe zones where the rescued civilians can recover." Dr. Helen Carter had been working nonstop to help the Velari survivors. The crystalline beings were traumatized by their experience with the Korthik, but they were amazed by the humans who had come to save them. Many of them had never seen violence before and did not understand how the humans could be so gentle with them, but so fierce against their enemies. "Commander Morrison," came Dr. Carter's voice over the communication system. "I'm down on the planet with some of the rescued Velari. They want to speak with you." Morrison accepted the call, and his screen filled with the image of several Velari. They looked like living sculptures made of blue and green crystal, beautiful but obviously scared. One of them stepped forward and spoke in that musical wind chime voice. "Commander Morrison, we are Keeper Velnon of the Crystal Gardens. We wanted to thank you for saving our people, but we are confused. Why did you come to help us? We have nothing to offer humans. We are not warriors. We cannot repay this debt." Morrison thought for a moment before answering. "Keeper Velnon on our world. We have a saying, the strong should protect the weak. You don't owe us anything. Helping people who need help is just what we do." The Velari was quiet for a long moment. "We have heard that other species fear humans. They say you are violent and dangerous. But you have been nothing but kind to us. We do not understand." "We are dangerous to those who deserve it," Morrison replied. "The Korthik attack peaceful people and take slaves. They chose to be our enemies. You never hurt anyone, so you have nothing to fear from us." Before the Velari could respond, alarms began sounding on the bridge. Lieutenant Steve Davis called out from his tactical station. "Sir, the Korthik are doing something new. They're remaining. Ships are forming up around their main battleship. It looks like they're preparing for one final attack. Morrison turned his attention back to the battle. On his screen, he could see the Korthek battleship, a massive vessel covered in weapons and armor. It was 3 times the size of any human ship, and looked like it could take on the entire human fleet by itself. Amy, get me a channel to all human. Ships. Channel open, sir. All ships, this is Morrison. The Korthek are making their last stand. That battleship is their pride and joy, and they're going to throw everything they have at us. Remember, we're not just fighting for victory. We're fighting to protect the Velari and to show the galaxy that bullies cannot win. Let's finish this. The human fleet moved to engage the Korthek battleship. Captain Tony Bennett brought the Reaper to the front, its massive guns charging for a full power shot. Captain Rodriguez maneuvered the Devastator to attack the battleship's engines, while the smaller ships spread out to deal with the escort vessels. But the Korthek had one more surprise. As the human fleet closed in, the battleship began releasing clouds of green gas into space around it. Sir, that gas is some kind of biological weapon. Dr. Carter's voice came over the communication system. My sensors show it's designed to attack nervous systems. It would kill most species in seconds. Morrison felt a moment of concern, then realized what the Korthek had done. They had just made their biggest mistake yet. All ships maintain attack formation. That biological weapon won't affect us. Sir? Amy looked confused. Amy, that gas is designed to work on normal alien biology. But humans aren't normal. We've been dealing with biological weapons, poisonous gases, and toxic environments our entire lives. Remember, we come from a world where even the air tries to kill us sometimes. Morrison was right. The human ships flew through the deadly gas clouds without any effect on their crews. The Korthek weapon that should have ended the battle did nothing but provide cover for the human attack. Captain Bennett's voice came over the communication system, and Morrison could hear him laughing. Morrison, these bugs just tried to poison Deathworlders. That's like trying to drown a fish. The final attack began with the Reaper's main guns firing at full power. The massive energy beams struck the Korthek battleship's shields and overloaded them instantly. Captain Rodriguez brought the Devastator in low and fast, her weapons targeting the battleship's engine systems. Down on the planet, Captain Taylor's heavy assault troops were finishing their attack on the volcano base. They had fought their way through temperatures that would melt most aliens and air that was more poison than oxygen. The Korthek defenders had never seen anything like them. This is Taylor to Morrison. Volcano base is secured. All Korthek ground forces on the planet are eliminated or surrendering. We've got about 1,000 more Velari prisoners safe. Morrison watched as the Korthek battleship began to break apart under the combined fire of the human fleet. The enemy's final gambit had failed completely. Their biological weapon was useless, their battleship was dying, and their ground forces were defeated. Sir, I'm receiving a transmission from the Korthek battleship, Amy reported. Put it through. The screen showed a Korthek commander, his insect-like face twisted with rage and fear. Human commander, you have won this battle, but this is not over. The Korthek Empire will remember this day. We will have our revenge. Morrison looked at the alien commander with cold eyes. No, you won't. You're going to go back to your empire and tell them what happened here. Tell them that the humans are watching. Tell them that if they attack peaceful people again, we'll come for them. And next time, we won't be as gentle. The transmission ended as the Korthek battleship exploded in a ball of fire. The few remaining enemy ships immediately began fleeing toward hyperspace, desperate to escape before the humans decided to chase them. The battle for Nexus Prime was over. The Deathworlders had won. The silence that followed the destruction of the Korthek battleship was broken only by the crackling of damaged ships and the hum of human engines. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UE's Thunderstrike and watched as the last few Korthic vessels disappeared into hyperspace, running like scared animals back to their empire. Damage report, Morrison ordered. Lieutenant Steve Davis checked his screens. Minor damage to 3 ships, sir. The U's Phoenix took some hits to her hull, but nothing serious. No casualties reported from any human vessel. Morrison nodded. The human fleet had fought and won against superior numbers without losing a single ship or crew member. It was the kind of victory that would be talked about for generations. Amy, get me Elder Zefka on the surface. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of one of the Velari crystal caves. Elder Zefka was there, along with dozens of other Velari who had been hiding during the battle. They all looked amazed and grateful. Commander Morrison, Elder Zefka said, his voice full of wonder. Is it really over? Are the Korthic truly gone? Yes, Elder. The few ships that escaped are running back to their empire. They won't be coming back to bother you again. The Velari began making musical sounds that Morrison realized were expressions of joy. It was like listening to a crystal orchestra celebrating. Elder Zefka stepped closer to the communication device. Commander, how can we ever thank you? You have saved our entire species. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Morrison smiled. You don't owe us anything, Elder. We told you before, helping people who need help is just what humans do. We're just glad we got here in time. But surely there must be something we can do, some way to show our gratitude. Dr. Helen Carter's voice came over the communication system. Actually, Commander, there might be something. I've been working with the Velari scientists, and they have some very advanced technology that could be helpful to both our species. Morrison raised an eyebrow. What kind of technology? Elder Zefka answered. Commander, our people have spent thousands of years learning to work with energy in its purest forms. We can create power sources that are clean and unlimited. We can build computers that think using light instead of electricity. We can make materials stronger than any metal, but lighter than air. That sounds incredible, Morrison replied. But we're not here to take things from you. We came to help. Please, Commander. You must understand, sharing our knowledge is how we show friendship. We are not warriors like humans, but we are creators. Let us create things that will help your people, just as you helped ours. Morrison thought about it. The Velari were offering their advanced technology freely, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. It was their way of building friendship between their species. If you're sure that's what you want, Elder, then we would be honored to learn from your people. The celebration among the Velari grew louder. Morrison could see tears of joy running down their crystal faces. They had gone from facing extinction to forming a new alliance with the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Sir, Amy Foster interrupted. I'm getting communication requests from all over the galaxy. Word about our victory is spreading fast. Morrison frowned. What kind of communications? Some are congratulations from friendly species. But there are also some complaints from the Galactic Council. They're saying we acted too aggressively and that we should have waited for a diplomatic solution. Morrison felt his anger rising. A diplomatic solution? The Korthic were killing and enslaving innocent people. How exactly were we supposed to negotiate with that? Lieutenant Colonel Danny Parker's voice came over the communication system from the planet's surface. Sir, I'm down here with some of the rescued Velari prisoners. You need to hear what they're telling us about the Korthic prison camps. Morrison accepted the call. On his screen appeared Parker standing next to several Velari who looked thin and scared. One of them, a young Velari with damaged crystal formations on her arms, spoke in a whisper. Commander Morrison, the Korthic told us that they had sent messages to the Galactic Council asking for permission to harvest our world. They said the council was considering it because we had no military value. Morrison felt sick to his stomach. A council knew about this? Elder Zefka's voice was full of sadness. Yes, Commander. The Korthik showed us the diplomatic messages. The council was debating whether our artistic contributions to galactic culture were worth protecting. The vote was scheduled for next month. Morrison closed his eyes and took a deep breath. While the Galactic Council was debating the value of an entire species, the Korthik had been killing and enslaving those same people. It was exactly the kind of bureaucratic evil that made Morrison glad humans had never joined the council. Amy, get me Admiral Walsh on Earth. It took a few minutes for the communication to reach Earth, but eventually Admiral Kevin Walsh appeared. On screen, he looked tired but pleased. Morrison, I've been following the battle reports. Outstanding work. How are casualties? 0 human casualties, sir. But we've got a bigger problem. The Galactic Council apparently knew about the Korthik attack and were considering whether to allow it. Walsh's expression darkened. I see. Well, that explains some of the communications I've been receiving. Half the galaxy is calling us heroes, and the other half is calling us dangerous vigilantes. What's our official position, sir? Walsh leaned back in his chair. Our official position is that we don't need permission to help people who are being murdered. If the Galactic Council has a problem with that, they can file a complaint. Morrison smiled. Understood, sir. Morrison, there's something else. We're getting reports that the Korthik Empire has issued a statement. They're declaring that all human space is off limits to their forces. Apparently, word is spreading that humans are not to be messed with. That's good news, sir. It gets better. 3 other species have sent requests asking if humans would be willing to help them with their own Korthik problems. It seems our reputation as protectors is growing. Morrison thought about that. When humans had first joined the galactic community, other species had been afraid of them. They called Earth a death world, and its people dangerous savages. But now, when peaceful species needed protection, they were calling for the humans. Sir, what should I tell the Velari about future cooperation? Tell them we'd be honored to work with them. Their technology could help us protect even more people in the future. And Morrison? Yes, sir? Tell them they have the full protection of the human fleet. Anyone who wants to hurt the Velari will have to go through us first. Morrison cut the communication and turned back to Elder Zefka. Elder, Admiral Walsh has authorized me to offer you something. Would your people be interested in a formal alliance with humanity? The Velari leader was quiet for a moment, then began glowing brighter, which Morrison had learned was a sign of extreme happiness. Commander Morrison, there is nothing our people would want more. You have shown us that there are species in this galaxy who protect the innocent instead of preying upon them. We would be proud to call humans our friends. Then it's settled. Welcome to the Alliance, Elder. Morrison looked out at the human fleet, still holding formation around the recovered Velari world. 31 ships and 15,000 crew members had traveled across the galaxy to answer a distress call from people they had never met. They had risked their lives without hesitation because it was the right thing to do. Other species might call humans dangerous, but Morrison knew the truth. Humans were dangerous only to those who deserved it. For everyone else, humanity would always be ready to answer the call for help. As the human fleet prepared to return home, carrying with them new allies and new friends, Morrison reflected on what they had accomplished. They had not just won a battle, they had shown the galaxy what it meant to be human. They had proven that the strong should protect the weak, that bullies should be stopped, and that no one should face evil alone. The children of Earth were coming home as heroes once again.